Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
What's up, everybody? This is a little Real Talk Tuesday for you. Everybody hunkered down in their own Real Talk quarantine studios, and the show must go on. And finally, something to be positive about in the sporting world, where Major League Baseball is sort of taking the lead on everything right now in a way and trying to get their season started. That's going to be our main topic at hand today, but we'll also talk about the chances of the NBA and NHL returning. Is it in the summer? Is it even realistic when you talk about their seasons really get going in October anyway for the following year? How's that? How do they get through the free agency periods and the draft and everything that comes with that? So we'll dive into if that's even possible for a return of those two sports. Eagles draft is always a conversation for the family out there. I know people always want, our opinions on what we do come draft day. Getting close. We'll hold a mock draft, an A2D mock draft, the Saturday leading up to the draft. So we'll have everybody on. We'll have our teams that we are each assigned to, and we're going to do like a live mock draft for everybody. So that should be a ton of fun with everything we're going through right now as a society, just to get our minds off, and then we'll be in the war room. We'll get our own little war room. So that'll be exciting times. But our main topic is MLB eyeing a start date, and ties right into our poll question. Every show is brought to you by our doc. Gotta make him yours. That's Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton locations. Find him on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And listen, he's doing remote services for everybody out there. So really keeping up with what's going on out there. That's Dr. Paul Vidal, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Tom Arnone, Jake Friel, Uncle Sweeps, Ritz in the house. So a couple guys on here that we haven't really done shows all together before. So that's fun. I mean, that's part of the remote stuff that we get to do here. And our poll question, brought to you by Ambuck Services for all your gutter guards, gutter needs, anything need done outside the house right now. 20% off. AMBUCKservices.com. Tell them the boys from A2D Radio sent you. Our poll question: the MLB will return in June. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. They're the platforms we're live, and everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. So subscribe, like, follow, comment in. We're reading off everything you got today. And come join us. So to the poll, Major League Baseball will return in June. Agree or disagree, boys?
I'll agree. That's why I just think May's a little too early. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying they were saying May 1st yesterday, but they were talking May. And to me, May's just too early. Not just pandemic-wise. There's just too many steps that have to be followed for it to be May. You know what I mean? June 1st to me would be more realistic because players got to get ready, number one, but you also have to go through and find out, who's in and how you going to do this. Is it going to be a biodome type where everybody goes to Arizona and you kiss your family goodbye and see you in 4.5 months? Because that's really what you're looking at. You can't be having guys all over the place. And even in that setting, you got to trust that those people, that everybody is just going to stay put and honker down. You know what I mean? You can't have a couple of Mavericks that are going to slip out to in Arizona, a gathering in Arizona with outside people. You know what I mean? That's just, if you're not going to have fans, then all the players have to abide by it. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of guidelines that still have to be put in play. And just a lot of decisions have to be made, you know what I mean? But like you said earlier, Tom, the money's the key, all right? Because when you first think, who the heck's going to go away from their family for 4.5 months? And then you talk to your wife, the guys that aren't making a ton of money or the guys that need to get paid, they run it by their wives, and their wives are like, yeah, go ahead, do it. You know what I mean? Like, they have to do it. So It's just, the semantics and figuring it out exactly, to me, will take at least till June. You know what I mean? And plus, once you get them back on the field, they're going to need another 2.5 weeks as it is to get, 2.5, 3 weeks to get themselves in actual baseball shape. You know what I mean? I don't care what they're doing now. If they're playing catch and all that good stuff, that don't mean nothing, right? They got to get themselves in game shape, not only to compete and be the players that we know they are health-wise,
No, you're right. And remember, guys, 4% of major leaguers are guaranteed their salary in 2020. So that factors into a lot. Like like we're talking about the guys, are guys uncomfortable with leaving their families for that long. And then remember the financial side, not only for big business, which is Major League Baseball, but for these players, right? So I mean that factors into this decision making as well. Jake, do you agree or disagree? Baseball will return in June.
I definitely agree to the poll. I'm going to build off what Sweep said as far as kind of just it's too early. And with how everything's looking right now, it's way too early to bring baseball back in May. What I think the MLB will do and the MLB PA will do, they'll kind of get together, figure out a plan, draw some things together to bring the season back in June to like what Sweep said earlier as well. You're leaving your family for 4 months, so that gives players something to think about. But at the same time, if hypothetically, obviously there's some players whose wives and other family members aren't working. So if you're the breadwinner in the house, you have to get paid at the end of the day. So that's a big that's a big thing as well. But I think June realistically would be the best bet for baseball to return. May's just way too early.
Ritz, man, what do you think?
No, I disagree. I don't think it comes back in June. I think it comes back in July. I think you're going to have to work out all the logistics of having all 30 teams in one state, and how do you make it all work, right? It's a math equation, guys. It's going to take 13 stadiums to run what they're normally used to, right, at max. I think, to Sweep's point, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get everybody back in baseball shape. So even if they're saying in May, okay, we're going to use May as a logistical planning time to get all those ducks in a row, get those people that we need, and get the equipment that we need down there. And then it's making sure that we can get all the teams, everything like that. I still don't think you start in June. I think you start in July.
It's fair. That's something to really think about in this equation. I'll say agree, because to me, they're really trying to force the issue of getting it going, more than, you listen to Adam Silver talk the other day, NBA commissioner. He said, listen, I can't make a decision in April. I got to revisit in May. So this whole month of April, to me, which is what he's saying, is essentially shut down. And then we're going to revisit in May when we have more information. So that's coming from the guy who sort of led this charge of shutdowns per se. But that was his thought on it, where, Major League Baseball is trying to work out and really continue to move forward, that they get a start in June, regardless of what's going on for the public. They're talking to, government officials, CDC experts, and are sort of giving them the okay for June. I mean, that's what the commissioner's sort of telling us, is that from his talks with these experts, they're sort of saying, well, if it's done this way, it can be done. Well, the other thing you have to factor in with what South Korea is doing. South Korea is saying, well, we're planning on starting in 2 weeks as they rev up and ramp up their little spring training year. But they're planning on starting in 2 weeks, but they said one person contracts it, you got another 2 weeks to go now. So that could shut everything down. So as a players union and all this, you're going to get your body, you're going to get your arm, whatever, mentally, you're going to get revved up and ready to go. And all it takes is one case then, if they're doing the same thing they're doing as in South Korea, then one case shuts it down for another 2 weeks. So I think they have to be very careful on when they start and have a real thought out idea and plan in place, because for them to start in June, they have to have immediate test results back.
I mean, everything's got to be airtight, to your point. You know what I mean?
Immediate test results. So that means I can test a player right now and get results right now. That's what they need if they want to start in June. I think that's the one thing that would hold them back, is if tests aren't rapid enough and come back fast enough for their liking. But big business, I'm sure they're going to get tests that come back immediately, and that's sort of what they're shooting for, so they can control it and keep everybody quarantined. I even read today, if they're playing at Chase Field, there's going to be another game going on after. It's going to be like AAU ball in a way where teams are waiting in the stands to play next. I mean, that's sort of what they're talking about having to do because of what Andy said. There, you have to factor in 13 places in Arizona they can play ball at.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, I what Rich was saying was spot on. I don't think anybody really has an idea. Obviously, we're hoping, but I would think if it is going to be June 1st, they're going to have to take these next 23 days in April to get to all the planning and all that good stuff, ready, and then maybe ready to do their spring training, second week in May, let's say, or first week in May. You know what I mean? So you take the next 23 something days to do the logistics and the planning if you can, and then the only way you could get ready to go by June is if you're ready to actually hit the field in the first week of May.
Yeah, and you're gonna need that time because players aren't gonna just come back without any type of spring training. So then you got to factor all that into it. I think there's a lot that obviously goes into this.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Well, that's why I don't think it starts up in June. I don't think you have enough time in the course of April and May, because what's to say that they even get, I guess for lack of a better phrase, permission to start that early.
Mhm.
Trump said it till the end of April, till April 30th, we're going to keep the whole, social distancing thing up. So then how are you even going to have these conversations, get all these people here, get all the equipment into the state? How are they going to let you run bigger group events?
yeah, and
that early.
You better hope that state stays lower with cases too. Because right now Arizona is low on the totem pole for cases, and I think that's a big part of it too, and why they think they can get away with it going there and playing it. But if they spike in cases, that sort of kiboshes that plan right there.
That's the other thing you got to watch on. You don't want to make all these moves for June and it spikes up as it gets warmer out. Let it get warmer. Let us figure out what everything's going to look like, and then go from there.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and have a better understanding of the disease too. That's what Silver's saying. I got to have a better understanding before I can even put things in place to get back and running. I got to give it and wait for things to slow down. Now, this is coming from the sources that talk to ESPN. Major League Baseball and its players are increasingly focused on a plan that would allow them to start the season as early as May, and has the support of high-ranking federal public health officials who believe the league can safely operate during the virus. So interesting. That's from a high-ranking federal public health official saying, "Oh, you guys are good. You guys would be able to."
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, obviously we do this, we do this for a living, so we love it, and we just talked about on Sunday, like it's bigger than sports, and we understand that, it's sports always gave us that respite, that way to get away from it, get away from your problems, and give you, a place to go. But it's a sensitive, it's obviously a sensitive time right now. So aesthetically, you got to make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted too, because all of a sudden MLB goes down there and they got all this, like Tommy said, they're testing everybody, and then the rest of the country's like, well, what's going on there? You know what I mean? Like, that's great. I'm glad baseball gets to start, but how come I can't resume my normal life? You know what I mean? Like, who are these guys?
Right.
Then you got a shitstorm.
Exactly.
Moses says, my main concern would be getting international players back into the States. Is that even possible in the near future? That's something logistic-wise that they have to work out big time. Now, I'm not sure how many guys actually went back to the DR or Latin American countries. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I would assume a lot of guys are in the States because remember,
once they come back, usually they spend the winter there, but once they came back for spring training, you would imagine that they hunkered down, because initially it was the 2-week thing, you know what I mean, which we all knew was kind of, nobody knew what that was actually meant, but that's what they told us even at the high school level. Hey, let's take 2 weeks and see where this is, you know what I mean? So you would imagine those guys are still in the States. Nobody was allowed to travel, so I'm assuming they're here.
I think some may have left when they sent everybody home from Florida and Arizona. Some may have went, back to, whatever Latin American country they come from or wherever they
sure.
could have. But I would say the majority are still here. But listen, if they're this close to conversations, that means they have that under control in terms of getting guys flown here if guys aren't in the States right now. I mean, they'll get that stuff lifted for this stuff. I mean, shoot, Dana White's talking about renting an island, buying an island for flights. So I mean, they'll figure it out when revenue starts getting hit. This is why we're all seeing it and watching in front of our eyes. What happens even with big business? I mean, we're all at home, essentially out of work. A lot of people, not saying all, but all of us, but essentially, right? So we see the pressure just a little bit, right? When you talk about billion-dollar companies, they see the same pressure. They feel the same pressure. Like, I got to get back. And, I think the players union's a big part of this too. This force to try to get back in June, because when you talk about, again, 96% of the players contracts aren't guaranteed through a pandemic or a situation like this. You better believe the players union is definitely forcing this issue a little bit too, and trying to get things back and running.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like big businesses, they're obviously, they're going to be okay. They have, they'll probably get bailed out. They'll wind up getting some money. We all know that, and obviously, entities like the NCAA, which we're like, oh my God, they got crushed. They got insurance for this. They got insurance for this. So nobody's crying for the NCAA. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're upset for the kids. I don't give a shit about the NCAA. They're still, I think they had like a $700 million not life insurance, $700 million insurance thing for this. So the NCAA will be okay. Big business will be okay. I worry about players. I worry about us as, blue collar workers, the average man.
And you look at some of these guys, how professional athletes and how they spend their money, so if you're talking about only 4% are guaranteed their contracts, guy, the way some of these guys spend their money, there's not a huge bankroll probably with a lot of these guys where they need it and then miss it too, and then there's a side of just missing it. And I think we talked about on Sunday is leaving the hope alive to the people and to the players. And I think a little bit of that is this happening, but we'll see. I think the consensus is usually from most people is like the middle of June. Middle of June start. Ryan's having baseball back on the 14th of June would be the best birthday I could ask for.
Hey, listen, when you're turning 15, that's a great gift. Having 15, right? You got a little pubic hair, and you got the hair under your armpits. Congratulations, brother.
Trevor from the 203. What up, yo? What up, Trevor?
What's up, Trev?
What's up, Trevor? Yeah, but I think the real question is when you talk about big business, right? Like, obviously, they want their product out there, and that's going to be the big thing, just bringing money in. But the question that always kind of crosses my mind is when do you think, or possibly when we as fans will be able to go back and watch games? That's going to be the real question.
You won't this year.
No, I don't think so either.
No, not at all. I don't think
100%.
anything that happens this year stays fanless.
Yeah, I agree.
Baseball, hockey, football, basketball, you're fanless for the year.
Agreed.
110%. Agreed. 2021 is when you can think about yourself getting back in a ballpark. Because I think, even if it is lifted, say in the summertime, how many people are rushing around to be around a bunch of people? I mean, right away. I don't think that's.
I don't even think it's that. It's
the same people that didn't believe it was anything, probably, Tom. So that's the same people are beep-bopping around. Sorry, Rich, cut you off.
No,
same idiots are beep-bopping around, scatting, and not listening to begin with. They're the people that would go. The rest of us are like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with 40,000 people. So yeah, I agree with Rich. No shot until next year.
Well, I don't even think it's a matter of who's going to go. It's who's going to be able to afford to go. Right, we talked about money early on, right? About how all these guys want to get back to playing because they're the breadwinners of their family. Most of their contracts aren't guaranteed for this kind of incident. But then you look at us, right? Look at the fans. How many of these people could actually afford to spend that kind of money on a baseball game when they could be buying food for their family? That's why until the country and everybody's back to normal, back to work, and and out of the debt that they're going to put themselves in over the next couple of months, I don't see anybody affording to go.
No, it's a great point because they're going to jackpot prices too. You know, it might be a little bit, so they don't immediately hit you over the head, but they're going to get some of their money back. Right? They're not stupid, right? And as fans and as the public, we always suffer. You know what I mean? So that $9 beer might be $11.
I mean, even if you start, just because I disagree, and I think they're going to start in July, right? If you start July 4th, that you've lost 100 days of the season already. You lose 89 games. You've got to make up that money somewhere.
No, absolutely.
No, you do. You do. I get this right.
Joe, man.
Baseball in June. I bet we don't even get football in the fall. So if it's the Roger Goodell that I know, and I think a lot of people know, football's coming in the fall. You like it or not,
Yeah, he's a zero fucks guy. Yeah,
I see zero shot of football. Like though that's I just don't see them.
I don't see that either.
Maybe they're a couple weeks behind. From a start date, but I think they're shooting for fall. I mean, if other sports are actually having conversations and federal health officials are telling Major League Baseball, hey, I think it's okay that you guys get rolling. Well, what's stopping football in the fall then?
No, I agree with you. And I don't know anything about the subject. I'm just saying they talked about that second wave coming. You know what I mean? So in September or October, then you're in the middle of the fall season where you got it could be another chaotic thing. If that happens, hopefully by then we medically we have things under control and we're better prepared than we were in February.
Yeah, I'm a C- science student and stuff like
that. We witnessed on Sunday.
I'll say one thing. I mean, everything you read is if you get it, your antibodies build up that make your immune system stronger from getting it again. Now, we don't know because we don't know how we're not CDC officials. We don't know how disease infectious control. We don't know how things spread or mutate or do anything.
We don't.
So that's just what we know from most viruses over our lifetime.
There's no guarantee that this virus acts the same way, right? You want to talk about antibodies and mutations. There's no guarantee that our body would even know how to react to this. It's going to take months and months of trial and error with different substances to figure out what can fight this.
And if you want to talk about why I think sports are good and why I think pro athletes would be a little more immune to this, and just hear my thought process out with this. I was listening to Cuomo's brother talk this morning. I don't know when he did it, but he was talking about how he sort of got through the sweats and the chest pain and all the things he was going through was being active and breathing and doing different things and not just laying down and letting it just attack your lungs, like doing things to help your lungs. Well, if you're talking about being active and you're talking about taking cuts and running and, even if you do start to feel a little bad, I would assume that helps your body by being active. Just common sense would assume like, hey, if I'm active, I'm in shape, I'm putting good supplements in my body, right? And as a professional athlete, I mean, these guys, when you talk about, there's been no pro athlete in the States now, in the United States, that's had this virus that's been anything more than just quarantined at home. I haven't had any reports or anything on my desk stating a guy's been on a ventilator as a pro athlete. Now, not saying it's not possible, because it's absolutely possible. But from what we sort of know from it, doing things and staying active only helps your body. And
I know what you're saying. I was going to bring that up the other day, not what you said, just about how you tied that in, because knock on wood, and like I said, but if what happens when the first athlete, God forbid, passes away, you know what I mean? Because when it first started, they said, oh, it was just the elderly and people with pre-existing health issues, and then all of a sudden everybody was getting it. Young people were dying, you know what I mean? So like Rich said, nobody knows really. It's just, I guess it gets people differently. But I hear you. Like Cuomo was talking about, like just trying to stay active so he wasn't, so he doesn't get pneumonia.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I took from it. Like, okay, well, if you, and especially if you're around team doctors, and I'm sure things are going to be in place even better around these athletes to help it. I mean, I think whatever information they're getting from up top on this to sort of give them the go through, of trying to plan this out is people that probably know more than us. And I'm going to take their word on this for pro sports, that if they're saying it's okay to go play pro sports, go play, because I'm not the one going down and playing. So to me, it's like as we can be selfish as fans and say, hey, go. We need you. We need it. We need it back. But then I also got to remember these guys aren't computers either. And, you know, does it, if one guy gets it, does it create a bunch of panic in Arizona then? Where guys are saying, whoa, I'm not coming to the park. You know what I mean? So then there's the legal matters that come into it too. Like if I don't want to be around it, you owe me my money, because I'm not saying I came down and wanted to get rolling in June. And for instance, the season never went on. You know what I mean? If the season never went on and kept getting pushed back for whatever reason, these guys are going to, you know, if they try to get it rolling, these guys are going to have a leg to stand on if they decide as players to sort of pull a plug on it too. So you got to look at it from that way too. So Major League Baseball just has to be smart with how to go about it. And then obviously once they get full agreement from the players union, I'm pretty sure guys are signing things. So, I mean, I think we can all pretty much guarantee that John Hancocks are getting written down and guys are, you know, the blood contracts are getting signed to get paid, that it sort of covers the MLB's ass, because you know that's coming. They're going to want their ass covered if somebody does, God forbid, die.
Blood in, blood out.
Yep. You know that's coming. I mean, I think the only professional athlete that's passed was an Italy soccer. I maybe a couple Italy soccer players or European soccer players. I mean, I know there's been a few that I've read through the last month, but not to my knowledge, like a ton. But that's why they ended up shutting soccer down over there, because they thought they'd get through playing it. And then once, like Sweep said, once a guy passed away, it was like, whoa, you know, other guys aren't gonna want to do that.
Absolutely.
Now.
Like I said, it's just
absolutely not.
The young generation felt like they were, not all of them, you know, the irresponsible ones were, you know, going to spring break and on the beaches and feeling like they were untouchable, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, there was cases of young people getting it and passing away. And it was like, all right, well, put the brakes on.
Got that one wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like selfishly, like guys. So what do they do? They, you know, we'll stick with baseball for a second, but we'll move in a little bit different direction and just talking about the NBA and NHL. How do they even do it for a month? Say, come back and do a playoff? Like, how do they do? I mean, how do they even go about that when you talk about a season starting in October, or do they go with what Adam Silver wanted to do, which was starting Christmas anyway, and then shorten the season moving forward after that? So I wonder how they try to go about it. I want your thoughts. I mean, NHL to me, we'll talk about that in a minute, but more NBA, you know, what's your thoughts? I mean, is that even realistic? Or do you think it's the other side where, hey, we just cut it and then we start in Christmas time and we have our off season over like a month and a half?
Well, I mean, like you said, it's just one of those years where everything is unique. You know what I mean? So I think you have to make some adjustments, which we all know. And I think the start of next season could be one of them, you know what I mean? Whether it's a couple weeks or not, because if they do decide to come back in June, I think they can whack it out in a month. But you know what I mean? Like, obviously they're condensing it if they wanted to give us a playoff, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you see the NBA and the NHL, not the NHL as much as the NBA, drags on the whole month of June anyway, because the TV deals and you know, they'll have 4 days off. You know, we might be playing the Celtics and we'll have 3 days off because of TV. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff, you know, it has to go away now if they do come back. You know what I mean? You give them a week to maybe play a couple games. You know, because I think the Western Conference was close for the 8 seed, but that's life. You know what I mean? Like, you give them a week and then have at it, and then try to crush it in June, and then maybe, and then you start your off season in July. You know, I don't know.
Try to get through it like almost like a March Madness, but yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense. Dark Sage has a golf question. Ask away, brother. Let me know, Bill. We're not trying to make your anxiety any higher. We're just talking about how it relates to sports. We're not sitting here as CDC officials. You ain't listening to CNN or Fox News here, baby. You know what I mean? But I hear you. Anxiety at an all-time high. But guess what? This is the topic. We can like it. We can dislike it. We can run from it. We can act like it's not here. It's not knocking on our goddamn door. Or we just talk about let's talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, it's here. So it's going to tie into sports in some way, shape, or form where it's going to be talked about to a point where, guess what? Are we tired of talking about it? Hell yeah. Would we rather just have a game on right now? Absolutely. Would we rather be life back to normal? Yes, yes, yes. But guess what? It isn't. So we're going to make the best of the situation we can. Still try to talk sports, but also we got to, it's out there. It's like, what, are we not going to talk about it? I'm an asshole if I don't come on here and ever bring it up and act like it's not there. I mean, to me, I think I'm doing everybody this service, but it's how the virus is affecting sports, which all is part of this conversation today. As much as I get it,
and it's the only sports news going on right now.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, this virus has become a cornerstone for everything we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Diesel chiming in, Sweepsy. We need a little league season to start soon. So Team A2D Radio can 10 run these 4 or 5-year-old jabronis.
There you go.
Diesel. What up,
Roll
Diesel?
Tops.
No, I mean, I know what Bill's saying, and that was a great response by Tommy. But I understand what Bill's saying. I think we're all there. You know what I mean? Like, we're all trying to stay informed and do our best, do our part. But we're all tired of it. You know what I mean? Like, I turned the TV off as well. You know what I mean? Like, you're tired of hearing about, the death and the carnage, you know what I mean? And you want to hear about the good, and that's understand the media, that's whatever tactics that is, that's great. But let's, not that there's anything good about it, but let's start talking about the people the percentage that recovered, you know what I mean? Instead of always talking about doom and gloom, you know what I mean? So I'm with you, Bill. We're all tired of it, you know what I mean? But in this case, it's directly ties to, like Rich said, it directly ties to sports, so we have to, we
Can't
have
help to not talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can sit here and ignore it, but it's like, I would love to. And there's plenty of shows that we've sat here and ignored it. But this show specifically is just tied in a little bit more. And that's why, we were coming in today and we are going to talk best Philly sports duos. That was really going to be the conversation. But when MLB came out last night and it started to leak a little bit, well, I was like, you know what? We owe it to the people to bring some positivity. We
Duo
owe
talk. I like it. I like the
talk
duo
about
talk.
returns and be optimistic about returns where, the duos can wait till tomorrow night. We'll get the duos tomorrow night. But it's like I didn't want to waste duos when something like positive like this is coming out. As much as we don't want to talk about it, it's still positivity we're talking about, Bill. That's why, like, I'm anxious too. But relax with the anxiety, right? And just try to be like, things are starting to look a little bit more positive now. You're seeing New York, the amount of cases that are being cleared and people are being allowed to let go home now. Like, it's overwhelming compared to the death toll. Now, the numbers are still, the percentage is still too high in terms of deaths, but there's tons of people recovering, like Sweep said. There's tons of people recovering. Tons. That doesn't make the deaths okay. It just means we can be objective in terms of being positive and then being negative in different times too. We can. Back to sports, I wanted to read what Dark Sage was asking. He said, with the Masters pushed to November, I am very upset about this. Are they going to ruin the tradition this year at Augusta National? How do you make the Masters special in November without making it like another regular tournament? It's a great question. Great question. You don't. You just have to.
I don't think there's really an answer for that. You know what I mean? Like, we just, Rich, that's Rich especially, is wrestling, you know what I mean? And we saw WrestleMania without fans. I mean, it's unprecedented, you know what I mean? But they still did a great job with it, I heard. And, we're able to, make it worthwhile for the fans and for the people that are diehards. They loved it, So, as far as, golf, yeah, I mean, you could have banned the fans, but there's still 4 guys in a group, you know what I mean? So it was something that had to be pushed back as well. So I think gone are the days of everything being normal and robotic, you know what I mean? Like, we have to adjust, so if it's in November, it feels weird. I get it, you know what I mean? It's always around Easter and we love the Masters, but if you get it in November, I think they just have to get it whatever date they pick. This has to be before Augusta closes. You know what I mean?
I think this is one of those things where the landscape has completely changed. And at this point, just be grateful that you get an event.
Yeah, right.
Like we talked about NCAA earlier. They're not going to come back and do March Madness in 3 months. Most of those kids are already out of college and done. right?
Yeah,
One way or
absolutely.
another, right? So if you get something like the Masters, if you get something like Augusta, or if you get even a baseball season or a football season, or we brought up the NBA, just be glad that it comes back
Mm-hmm.
at this point, and we'll figure out what the new norm is on the other side.
Yep.
No, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, would you have not wanted WrestleMania on the other night? Would you have taken the alternative?
No, I mean, I liked having it on because, Sweeps talked about how they did a great job. They did a fantastic job with what they were given. And it just goes to show that you're still able to get the product that you want. In fact, I think it highlighted certain areas in certain matches. We still got the product that we wanted. We still got to see, for us, it's story based. So we saw these stories come to a climax. And it was a nice break for 2 nights to not have to worry about this coronavirus or the fact that, hey, you know what? There should be Sunday Night Baseball on. There should be a game or something on right now. It was a great distraction.
Yeah, no, absolutely, buddy. Spot on.
And I think we all need it a little bit. Where's another question? Bill said, real quick, fellas, baseball will be the only sport to suffer. NBA, NHL, NFL can all start in September if need be. Finish both seasons, start NFL, shorter schedule, and double headers next season. The fall should be great. Let's go. And that's a thing of positive right there, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Levi, on a slightly different topic, what would be your go-to video game during this time? Anyone lead this one?
There's so many like different ones that go through my head. I'm a big I'd have to dig out my PS2, but NFL Street I was a big fan of, and Star Wars Battlefront I was also a big fan of.
Battlefront was such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I thought I was the only guy with a PS2. I dusted mine off from 2011. 2011, I got MLB The Show, guys that are no longer around. I got the horse racing going, which I can make my bets.
There you go.
In a video game, obviously fake money. I won like $7 million the other night. Felt real good about myself.
And then you turned it off and realized you still didn't have it.
I couldn't save it. I'm like, God, where'd that money go?
Like shit.
Yeah, mine too are 2K, and I agree with Spidey. Grand Theft. Been rocking.
There you go.
Theft too.
Yeah, I got Miami, wherever that was from. Grand Theft Miami. Vice City. I got that.
See, I'm doing a battle royale game. Give me Warzone, give me Fortnite, give me something like that where I can just aimlessly walk around and shoot
for hours. Yeah, that's
a good one. And every game's different.
Yeah.
That's why I like Grand Theft. I can do so many things.
See, Grand Theft just pisses me off.
Not when you're loaded, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to spend money if you want to get loaded, because there's, like I said the other day, there's some asshole on the top of a building with a sniper rifle, and all you're doing is walking down the street. And no.
Yeah, right.
I just drive around and run people over. I'm straight reckless.
You don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money to play to make money, because I do jobs where I'm making $40,000 job and it's taking me 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be dedicated, which we don't.
Or I spend that 10 minutes dropping in and kill random people.
I was going to say you're a thrifty hitman. 40K, nice job. Times are tough. You can get Tommy for 40K right now. It's fantastic.
Andrew says losing a year of prime Mike Trout is brutal. I agree. For Phillies fans, no, you're not only losing Mike Trout because everybody being from this area, we all love Trouty, but even then, think about it for your own home team. When you talk about Harper, losing a year for us of part of the 13-year deal here, possibly losing a year of Harp hurts a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
A guy when you're talking about in them coming in them prime years, or would you expect him to have his best years? Losing that's tough too.
Absolutely.
Levi says you got to get your meth and coke labs up. Big money
maker.
Walter White.
The GTA Online is on. Yeah, Spuddy, I love it. I didn't think I would like it. I thought I'd be playing like way more 2K than I am, but I love it. Here's a great one. You guys remember this one?
007, yep.
007.
007 was good.
Or if you even go back, Levi. Now, listen, I know Levi's a senior right now, but if you go back, and you go to the old Nintendo 64.
Mhm.
That Bond game was some goat stuff.
GoldenEye, yeah.
GoldenEye was fantastic, but Nightfire was a great game on the PS2.
Levi's an
Nightfire
old
was.
soul. You know what I mean? You can tell. Levi's an old soul.
You know, it's an underrated
Yeah.
game for the PS2 though. Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yes.
What up, Will?
Clearly, the old men don't know about the game.
No, didn't know that one. Wilson the house.
17 years ago today.
Cut down the nets. Carmelo. Thanks, Mello.
Tom, I want to go back. You brought up the NBA for a minute, and you brought up when they were going to start and everything like that, right? In theory, I like Sweeps' idea of starting, giving them like two weeks to just play some warm up games for everybody. Because I'm looking at standings right now. There's really no way for it to shift. You have the eight in the Eastern Conference, the 8 in the West Conference locked up. If only thing you're shifting seeds at that point. But I think you just come back and you start bracket play. Let it play out in a bracket. Don't do if you want to still keep a June.
Return.
June 1st was when they were supposed to have the finals. If you want to keep that June 1st, end it so you have a proper off season. If we are coming back to normalcy, right? Then just start bracket play at that point. Seed everybody out, give you bracket play, and go from there.
No, I completely agree because I think you're spot on about things sort of being already in place in terms of the seeding 1 through 8 in both conferences. There's not a lot of moving that could really happen. I mean, there could be, but it just seems maybe jumping a team. But in terms of like the 9 seed in both conferences being a playoff seed team and losing out on it, I don't give a rat's ass because if you're the 9,
you would have got rolled by the 1 seed anyway. I hear you.
Yeah, so it's irrelevant to me. Like if you're that one Denver Nuggets team with Mutombo, right? Of him holding the ball after I forget what team they upset, but it was an 8 and they beat a 1.
Seattle.
Seattle. It doesn't happen. I'll give you another one. It doesn't happen. It rarely happens. So I don't care about that one team that, we should have been a playoff team. It's not fair. Well, you had a season to play better then. And you didn't. So the Andy's point is just, hey, you got all 16 teams. You know what you got. And you maybe give like a week of, I don't even know. Maybe you have a week of your regular season. A week and a half, something like that. If you
Just
do
to
it,
let everybody warm back up because you don't want to go into the playoffs cold.
What's Wilson saying? Tecmo
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl, yep.
Nice. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't affect them too bad. If they got everything rolling in the end of July for their off season, I don't even think it would affect them too bad if they had to go through parts of July to finish it. I don't think it would kill them. I mean, you'd have all August off. They could always do this in 20 for the following season. They could always say, hey, what we're going to decide to do is not that end of October start. We're going to go more of an end of November start. And they give themselves a little breather. Maybe they shorten the following season, 10 games maybe, right?
Yeah, this is good. I mean, this is a year. This is the year of the asterisks. You know what I mean? Like nobody's ever going to forget it, both in your personal lives and in sports. So there's no reason that you couldn't do something like best of 3. You know what I mean? Because I like where Ritz's head was with the brackets, but you can't really eat for NBA or NHL, you can't really do a 1-game thing. I mean, you could, all right, but then that would just be a little crazy. But you could short it to like a best of 3 where you play 3 days in a row, like 3 days in a row and somebody's moving on, Yeah,
or 3 or 5. I mean, they could even do, they could do best of 5s too, like they used to do back in the day for a second. They could try that and just have the finals best of 7. You know what I mean? Just to give that same feel for the finals and go best of 5 throughout it. Maybe best of 3 first round, and after the first round, you go 5. You know what I mean? And then maybe both finals are 7, something like that. But, I mean, they could get it done in a month and a half.
Absolutely.
2 months, and they could just push back the start of the following season. Instead of the end of October, you go end of November. So you make up for a little bit of lost time for players' body health and all that. And then you're eliminating 10 games off the next year. So you're for players union wise is how I always look at things on what will they accept and be okay with. I think the players union will be all in for that one in the NBA. If they're saying, hey, we're going to cut off 10, 15 games the following year too, I don't think it's a question that everybody's on board with that one.
Well, I thought they started early to begin with. You know what I mean? I understand.
Yeah, I didn't think they even had an offseason.
They kept the same games. I get that, but I thought they started early anyway. You know, I mean, to me, like, you know, high school basketball, that starts in, you know, right around Thanksgiving. You know, the day after Thanksgiving, you start running your suicides and you get ready to go. Right. So obviously, you know, it doesn't have to be like that in the NBA, but this year, like you said, there's special circumstances, you know, as a country we're dealing with. So everybody can deal with a little bit of change. It's okay.
Yeah, and get used to it. You know, I mean, the NBA was bitching and moaning about cutting their season down anyway. For the last few years, players have been talking about it. You got to deal with the load management BS. You got dudes who can't play 82 because it's too much wear and tear on their body because one guy decided to rest it a little bit and won a world championship. Now everyone wants to be a copycat, and now load management's a thing. So good. You want to load manage? I think as a fan base, I think I'd say for everybody, screw it then. Go to 70 games. Go to 70 and play all freaking 70 then, because the load management crap is BS. Now, I'm not a guy who goes down to the arenas much, but if I was and I was going down there to see a player of LeBron's caliber, now LeBron's always wants to play, but like Kawhi's caliber or the likes, because now more and more guys are doing it, I would be pissed off as a casual fan, not a fan of one or the other. There's a basketball fan, and I'm going to an arena and spending buku dollars to watch one of these guys and not even play. So you're better off to saying, hey, let's all meet in the middle somewhere. Let's go 70, you know, for the following year. Maybe people will get away from the load management. They'll still do it because everybody's trying to gain an advantage. But you understand what I'm saying? For us as fans that are paying the money to go see these guys, we want them playing like the old days. So screw it. If it's too long of a season in 2020 for these prima donnas, then screw it. Go to 70. You know, I want to see guys play every night. What's hurting the NBA and what's been hurting the NBA for the last few years is this soft shit, right? Because we're used to toughness in the NBA. Bully ball from back in the 90s, 2000s even, right? It's completely shifted. I was watching the Celtics Lakers when the Lakers won it in 7 in LA. Game was like in the 60s or 70s in the fourth. Great offensive teams too. But it was beat up each other a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about it all the time. It's not just our age. It's not just our age showing. You know what I mean? It is what the NBA is now. You know what I mean? You can't touch anybody, and everybody's a shooter. You know what I mean? So when you got there's probably 10 centers in the league that love to shoot threes. We have one of them. You know what I mean? So, you know, whether their percentage is good or not, that drives me up a fucking wall.
What would you guys give?
The post and back somebody down.
What would you guys give for one Joe 3 right now? You know, oh my God. One ill-advised Joe 3 right now. I'll give my arm off. I would yell about an ill-advised 3 right now. I would give my arm off to be able to yell about out of shape, right? Like all the things. I'll give my arm off the debate. Oh, Ben and Joe can't win together. I'll give my arm off for something.
Something tells me you can have that debate regardless if they're playing or not.
Right? We can. But I mean, I think that's the thing, guys. Is this is all doable. It's all doable. And when you're talking about these big businesses, they're all about their bottom line, right? I mean, Andy, we were talking about a little earlier about the car business and about, you know, the airlines and about the mortgage companies. Let me tell you something, man. They can all withstand a beating because the three things that always come back through ups and downs of economy: people love their cars, people love their houses, people love to travel. So they're the things that don't need buyouts, essentially, right? Same thing with professional sports, right? Country's going to keep watching when they come back, maybe even more so, right? And so on. So, I mean, they just need to keep the hope alive and be in the conversation. But again, they don't want to lose the money. And that's the end all thing. Even though they can come back, in 8 months and be fine, right? But internally, they don't want to lose the dollars and cents because it's all they freaking care about.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yep, exactly. And this might be, this isn't the best thing for anything, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, it makes you realize how important sports are to all of us. Like, you know, a week was one thing. A week without it, going crazy. You know, I don't think I'll ever be able to adjust to it. You know, no matter how long this goes, I can't adjust to it. You know, I think we all miss that, and Andy got experiences this past weekend, but we're all missing that when you wake up in the morning, like, oh, we got a big one on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a big one on tonight. Gonna need you, Joe. You know what I mean? I'm missing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for all of us, even the hockey. Like, we're missing that. We got a big one tonight, boys. You know, I think that's what I don't want to say take for granted, because I don't think anybody took it for granted, but you do take things for granted.
Oh, but you got to think it's become such. It's as simple as like getting up and having lunch, right? Like that's something you look forward to, and you know it's a constant in your life. When for three guys like you, where sports has become very, very ingrained in who you are, of course you're gonna miss that. It would be the same for me with wrestling. They have up until Friday Night SmackDown taped. They're announcing that they're still doing, Money in the Bank next month, but how?
Right.
There's a strong fear that, at least for me, that come Friday night at 9:00 after SmackDown goes off the air,
Mm-hmm.
we're not having anything for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And so on a Monday night I won't have Raw to watch. On a Friday night I won't have SmackDown to watch, and it's like, what do you do?
Right.
That's why it's so stressful right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's that typical saying to where you don't appreciate something until it's gone, right?
Mhm.
So just having and like we touched on with Andy having WrestleMania, just having that little bit of something back, you appreciate it that much more. So.
Oh yeah.
No, absolutely, and just like everything, it's even though it's sports, we it's killing us to not have our liberties. You know what I mean? Because we're listening. Where other people aren't really listening. Like I haven't seen my family in 30 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Besides my wife and my daughter. You know what I mean? I haven't seen my pops. I haven't seen my brother. I haven't seen my sisters. Right? Because we're listening. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's all people have to do. They just have to start listening.
I think I've seen and it's, listen, over my sisters, just my sister, and that's it. It's not like there's a bunch, same thing with it's not like a bunch of people, but I think it was over 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago was the last time that I made my last little stopover, and I'm like, that's it. Like, I'm not going to do that to anybody else. That's how I look at it. Like I think I'm good, but I don't even want to put anybody else in that situation.
No, that's exactly what it is. My pop's 80. Guy's a savage. He's 80. Lives with us, but he got when all this hit, he was at my brother's, and that's where he's at now. You know what I mean? So, my daughter's missing him. He's missing her. Everybody's. You know what I mean? Like, but we try not to put other people at risk.
Exactly. Like with my parents coming back home, I don't love it, but then coming back up in the middle of April, hopefully, by that time things starting to lessen and the dent goes away. But you just don't want too many people in one spot, even with family. You know what I mean? So you just everybody's just trying to do their best, but it's tough for all. And that's why, the need for sports is so important for a lot of us, and that escape. And honestly, I think professional sports get that right now. I think that's why they're pushing so hard to try to. I think what WrestleMania did, Andy, I truly believe, people are copying off of what Vince McMahon's doing and being like, well, he was able to pull it off. Why the hell can't we? Right? And I think
exactly.
Conversations up top. I think that's huge for all sports. Me not being a wrestling guy anymore, it doesn't matter. I see it. I see like, whoa, they're doing it. And I think other big businesses at the professional sports level are like, well, can we pull it off? Dana White saying, well, for international fighters, I'm going to go buy an island or rent an island out. So we're going to make it work. And you're watching these owners.
It proves just how creative somebody can be.
Yes.
Like we were talking about it the other day when in regards to the Eagles draft, right? Having your war room, having your your GMs and your coaches and your staff all together. How creative can you get? How can you do a Zoom call? The NFL can still give us that same draft experience through things like Zoom or these different video chats. I mean, and this is not a knock, but if we can sit here and do this show and we're all at our own homes, we're not in a true studio, then the NFL can definitely still give us a draft experience. Just how creative can you be? How does Vince put together?
I'll get you this program.
Yeah, no kidding. How can Vince put together a 6-hour show over the course of 2 nights, all original content, and the NFL's worried about how the draft is going to look like a fantasy draft, or MLB and all these other guys are concerned about how they're actually going to do things. If Vince McMahon, that creative son of a bitch that he is, can get this to work, and he's the pro wrestling guy, you guys can make it work too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like you said, and it really just affects the fan thing. Obviously, the experience that sucks for everybody involved. I get that, but for the casual fan, that's really when you notice it. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm not a diehard wrestling guy like you, but I'm a casual fan. I watch, so for me, I notice that. But for guys like you and Chrome and all the guys that do this and love it, you're just looking at the two guys in the ring. You're looking at the story. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's great. That's what you guys love. You know what I mean? For us, we're baseball junkies. You know what I mean? So they fire up with no fans in June 1st. I don't even notice. Don't even affect me one bit.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't be watching the fans. If you're watching the fans,
I'm watching one guy execute better than the next guy.
How many times for all of us have we watched professional sports and muted it?
Oh yeah.
Because you're doing something else, or not
anytime Joe Buck's on
the volume. Just saying, like not even paid attention to any volume. It's just like you're watching it, but you're not even really listening to what the guys are saying. So many times, especially for baseball. I mean, baseball, I can mute McCarthy right now, be good, and just watch the game and watch it for myself. I don't need to hear somebody telling me something. So to me, like Andy said, that's not going to affect me. I'm watching the guys on the court, on the field, wherever it may be. I'm looking at them and studying the game side of it. I don't care about the yelling and screaming. That's for them to have to figure out internally how they get themselves going when there's nobody there for the extra adrenaline. That's when everybody, I said the other day, everybody looks at you and says, you were banging trash cans last year, weren't you? I knew you were. And you go in every game with an agenda. Like I would find things, or I'd be going back through guys' social medias just to see them talk shit on something I don't like, just to go into a game with pissed off about something. You know what I mean? So you have to find that internal that for a lot of guys came easy from the crowds. You know what I mean?
Well, and what'll be so nice is for you guys, for baseball, but I think more for basketball and even football, right? Is when we experienced it with WrestleMania, not having the crowd there, we were able to hear them trash talking in the ring, and it actually elevated characters and storylines. That's how you get that's how you guys will find excitement through football, through basketball. You know, maybe the MLB when they're on base and things like that. But it's going to be that trash talking that we're actually going to hear now, because it's going to happen, right? In any competitive scenario, it's going to happen, and that's how you should find your adrenaline. If you watch a sport because of the fan involvement, you're not watching the sport.
Yeah, and to that point, great point, Ritz. And to the same point where we always talk about professional athletes, like if you need the fan to make you a better player, or you need that adrenaline, then you're in trouble to begin with, in my book. You know what I mean? Like I always talk about the pride gene. You know what I mean? So I don't give a shit if there's 10 fans in the stands or 40,000. It's me against you. And anything I'm doing, and my pride gene is going to kick in. Like, hey man, I don't want you kicking my ass. All right.
Because I mean, Tom Sweeps, you guys are coaches, right?
Yes, sir.
Do your kids play for the fans that are there, or do they play because they actually enjoy the sport?
Yeah, they love it, and that's absolutely.
We lose that core value as they get as they get into the limelight.
Absolutely.
Not that guys won't be able to handle it, or I think it's anybody's excuse. It's just getting used to something different. You know, getting used to running in from the bullpen with 40,000 screaming, and just finding it internally, which most of these guys should have already. If you got that level, you should have. I mean, your internal want-to should be bigger than a lot of guys. You would think.
Some guys with no huevos actually might excel during this time, because they took the heat. Right, they're bean bags. They got little tiny bean bags with 40,000 people, and they take the apple where there ain't nobody in there but the guy selling. Not even the popcorn guy. There ain't anybody there. So the guy runs in and out of the pen, and he's like, "Shit, I think I'm good now."
Never say nothing. I think, like you said, you just, I would love to hear, I don't care. Let's say Kershaw, first at bat to Bregman. I would love to hear something said. You know what I mean? Or Altuve. I would love to be able to hear that possibly. Maybe you mic guys up. Maybe you create that environment a little bit more where they were doing in spring training a little bit. Maybe you do a little bit more of that to bring the fan at home a little bit more experience into the game a little bit that
Oh,
way.
absolutely.
So there's so many ways they can do it and have fun with it.
And Rich knows, he just watched it. That was the awesome thing about the WrestleMania thing. Like you hear Paul Heyman say "kick out." You know what I mean? Like after the second boot, he's like, "Dude, kick out." Where you don't hear that when the place is a zoo.
Yeah, and then you can get more of that, like kind of. They can kind of take little samplings of what we saw from the XFL too, like when you have like coaches.
Hey, look, another Vince
doing
creation.
plays and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you just have little tidbits here and there to get like just more of the casual fans involved.
Guy's a showman. He ain't no dummy.
Nope.
No, spot on. You make it more of a show in a way. You know what I mean? You're not going to have the theatrics of like it's not a drama here, but you make it. You make it into a show a little bit. You have guys like these guys like Rizzo and these guys that were mic'd up in spring. You mic them up again. You mic up more players and you hear more of that than you and not even let the crowd noise phase you. But I think for a lot of these guys, that adjustment comes quick. I know it's something different. You're used to the adrenaline from the crowd, but listen, I mean, it's competitive. You want to beat the guy across from you, whatever sport it is. So to me, the crowds are relevant to it. Now, okay, there's always home field advantage, home court advantage. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you can't find enough adrenaline to get a season started, game one, and you can't find that, maybe
that always drove us crazy anyway. That's what we said about the Sixers. Like, it's the Gene Hackman effect. You know what I mean? Like, you measure the nets, they're still 10 feet, right? You measure the court, it's the same court, right? So why do you get your heads kicked in on the road, Sixers? Right? Because you're not concentrating, you're not prepared, So that's, as a player, you just you should be locked in all the time. But we understand that there's other variables that go into it. But now more than ever, let's see if they can get that back and get that competitive fire back and not just play, for the money. Let's see if they play for the love of the game.
Yeah, Spidey's saying, love the idea of expanding on mic'd up players. If people can't be in the stands, bring the people to the game. Exactly. We're talking about on Sunday, virtual seating, right? Essentially. So, you pay for your seat, but you have more of a virtual feel to it. I mean, it's 2020, baby. These things are easily done. Right. Nobody has to go to games because you're essentially at the game. You just got your freaking thing on. You know what I mean? You're getting that experience like you're at the game. The only thing you're missing is the smells. So get the smells going in your house. That's how I would do it. I would start having that inside to reenact some of them smells. Like, let me smell the hot dogs.
Have your wife cut the grass right in your living room. Fire up the mower. Hey, honey, fire a mower up right there. Heads up for that toy, but fire that mower up, would you?
You try to bring some of them things in, but I think mic'd up players will be phenomenal. I think for a sport where I think not the diehards, but a part of this country has soured on a little bit at the professional level baseball, not at any of the other levels. At the professional level, soured on a little bit. I think there's be huge comeback for them and a way to really get the casual fan feel like they're more involved and understand some of the intricacies that the baseball guys get, but the below casual fan doesn't get. I think that'd be important.
I mean, like you said, dude, there's ways to figure it out. There's people smarter than us. You know what I mean? Like, I just so technology wise, I'm a dinosaur, but there's got to be a way where, like you said, they can interact. The fan can interact. Where they can hook it up to the stadium speakers, and you can push a boo button at home. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm pushing the boo button. Let's go. It comes firing out of the fucking speakers. You know what I mean?
You get your own. Oh my God, your own boo button would be phenomenal. We can get our own battery throwing button too.
Your computer screen's cracked because you're like, I got the fucking batteries. I got the batteries.
Amazing if you had a little button at home, like boo.
Yeah, something, anything. Cheer, boo.
But either way, I think we all want it back, and I think the end date of this is all closer than we think. We'll continue to get through it. You can see that you want to be on the positive side of things. You can see the numbers, because of everybody doing what they're supposed to do, are way lower than what they could have been right now from the majority of people that are doing the right things in terms of their social distancing and stuff. So, this could have been something that really overwhelmed our healthcare field with, and it's something that I think because most of the country's doing the right thing, we're able to stay on this a little bit better than other countries. Now our cases are a lot more, but our death rate and stuff like that, I don't think we've overwhelmed all our hospitals yet. I think we're doing a good job of not doing that, and I think this is going to go down too. Like they talk about the next 2 weeks being the biggest spike, but if everybody just keeps doing what they're doing, I think June's a realistic day for not only professional baseball, but let's just talk about the AAU side of baseball, or the high school side of baseball, or whatever. Like, or summer sports, whatever you want to say, whatever it is. Like, there's a possibility that stuff could happen this summer. Could. Now, when I put my reputation on it, no, but there's a good possibility that in July we're out and about a little bit more. That's all. I'm not saying everything's back to normal. Just things are starting to get a little bit more back on track in a way.
Yeah, and like I said, just like sports, in life, they should make sure they change. They should change some things as well, in the sense where, these people that are putting people's lives in danger, spitting at people, spitting at police officers, freaking out in stores. We saw that Amazon worker spit on the package.
Yep.
Anybody caught doing something reckless like that, throw a book at them. I got no time for it. Right? We're in a pandemic. Right? This ain't no time for you to be disgruntled. You know what I mean? Like, give them 5 years, lock away, throw the key away. I don't care. I don't care about your rights. That's it.
Guantanamo Bay's open. They're supposedly abandoned, so send them all down. One more question before we get rolling here. Ryan, brother, what's the percentage you guys would put on the chance of NBA and NHL returning? NBA, I'll go 90%. NHL, I'm going to go more 75.
I look at that they're tied together, so the number would have to be the same for me. Yeah. Probably like 75%.
I'm going to agree with Sweet.
It's almost done,
The only
75 for me.
Lower is because of the amount of foreign players and international players. That's the only reason I limit that to 75, and I can't put them together because I don't know how many went home.
Right. Yeah, but that goes back to what we were talking about with baseball. How many of them got a chance to go home?
Yeah.
I think a lot, by the time travel bans were put in place and the season was suspended and everything of that nature, I think a lot of them ended up staying here. And plus, they plan to be here. They plan to be here during that hockey season. So I'd have to say they're both probably right around 80, 85, because a beautiful thing with hockey, you can set up an arena outside. It's going to suck, right? But there's enough cold spots in this country where you can set up an arena. If you need that for basketball to run for NBA to keep running their season or whatever the case may be, so there are ways around it, 100%. They're both 80% coming back.
But I wonder, real quick before you guys go on your other guys go on your percentage, I wonder if the NBA and NHL are going to do something similar to baseball in terms of like what they talked about earlier with Atlantic City and Vegas. I wonder if the NHL and the NBA are considering that a very similar thing. We know the NBA already was, but I wonder if the NHL was considering that similar type of situation where, hey, we're going to try to get it done in 2 cities, and that's how we're going to run it. I would have to assume that they're thinking on the same level and same playing field there. I would think. So it'd be similar, but I thought it was funny. I think the most funny thing I've read is sort of like, hey, if games are being played at Chase Field baseball wise, right? Well, the next team up is sitting in the stands waiting to go. Like I just think that's epic. Like I just think that's epic. And you want to talk about sign stealing to a whole new level? Give these guys 3 hours to sit and watch.
Well, they would probably. I hear you. I mean, it's a whole new dynamic, but they would probably be underneath in the tunnels and hitting and getting themselves ready to go. So.
It would be so great. I mean, it would be so much like the AAU or high school baseball tournament circuit where like the team's up, ready to go, waiting for the other team to get done. Like I just think that'd be classic. I'd really take a lot of these guys back to their high school days, college days, or whatever tournament wise. You're waiting for the other team to get done. I think that would be cool. Where you look up and the only stands at Chase Field are the Phillies and the Brewers about to go on next. You know what I mean? I didn't think that would be funny. Ryan said using 2 main locations is the only way they see him come back. Nobody's going. We're filling it. We're going to every arena and reusing them.
Yeah, no,
absolutely not.
everything will be condensed and trying to keep players in the same area. And that's why they're looking for places that have the hotel accommodations like right there where they have all these teams down there and be able to handle it. So I think that's part of the bigger, when you talk about Atlantic City and Vegas, they're shut down. So, they can use these hotels for players to stay this entire time. You know what I mean? For NBA wise. So a lot of good things today in terms of comeback season, right? I'm feeling better than I probably was on a return. Like I was Sunday. Sunday, I don't know if I was feeling as good as I do today on a possible return. So positives here, boys.
Yeah, buddy.
Sorry, I was reading one more. Yep, Vegas and AC. Now I wonder what do you call it? Where's the NHL go? Canada? Like Andy's talking about playing outside possibly. So you have to be somewhere. You might have to go to Alaska. You know what I mean? You might have to go to Alaska.
A little pond hockey? a little pond hockey? All right. Fucking
And Sweeps is interested again.
Tremendous movie.
Sweeps is up to like 90% on the NHL.
I'm in.
I watched it going cross country. I always forget the name of it. What's the one? Something Alaska.
Mr. Alaska, fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say it. But that's a phenomenal movie. Let's go back up. Let's go back where it all started.
That's
Oh,
it.
Mystery Alaska.
But, I mean, going to Canada is not a bad idea, though. They've
No,
got
it's really
more.
not.
Baseball, hockey is to Canada as baseball is to America.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got more area to do that. You pick a city like Toronto, you pick a city like Montreal that has a lot of tourist spots anyway, so they have the hotel base for it, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
But I could see that. I mean, that'd be, the only way Canada's opened up their borders to us is hockey.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Make that clear right now. So the only thing you holding over Canada's head is hockey here. So, I mean, if they got an opportunity to get hockey back and say, let's just say, I don't know, you'd have to think like, do they play, Ontario, Winnipeg areas, right? I mean, I would assume there and maybe in the Toronto area. But, I mean, they're the three locations. But then, travel-wise, because it's not like that's close to each other either. So, but I think they're going to Alaska. I'm gonna go.
I hear you. It's the only shot they let us in is if we're bringing hockey. Yeah. That's like somebody knocking on your door with meatloaf. You fucking drop kick them. That's fucking meatloaf out of here.
Vaccine, hockey. Which one do we want? Guys like, they don't take the hockey. Hockey for 500, Alex.
Absolutely.
Cruise ship hockey, Ryan's saying. Yep. And then next.
Well, you would know. Patient zero. You would know about a cruise ship. Don't you fucking start. Fucking cruise ship, fucking Brodo. That's the reason why we're going remote, because you fucked the whole studio up.
Vacation number 5 for Ryan.
You fucked this whole company up, fucking Brodo, because of you. You're fucking dicking around on a cruise ship, you little bastard. You.
These prayers I got in China.
Fucking guys docking all over the country. You can't fucking sit still. Sit still, Brodo.
What did Brodo ever do to you?
I love Brodo. He's my man. But once he went on that cruise, that was it. I got him fucking dropped like 2 pegs.
Promote Brodo. That's great.
Yeah, well, he might drop 5 pegs in my book because not only did he come back, he jumped right in studio that Wednesday. Like he wasn't even reading the news for the 10 days. You know what I mean?
So, I was waiting for you to shut it down because I was out where I was going to bring fucking holy water like Father Carmine. Fucking holy water. Just fucking.
Was that the same show where Ralph was in like the quote unquote hazmat suit?
The one right before that. Yeah. Smart move. The only smart thing Ralph's ever done. Boys, it's been fun though.
Absolutely. Good work.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Sweepsy Reds, thanks for jumping on short notice with us.
Absolutely.
Just conversating. That's what it's about. Just conversating for the people out there. Try to bring some hope with sports.
Regular family, sports family. We love you guys, so we appreciate you.
Yep, and we didn't really do any Eagles, and we'll save that for the boys on Birds of a Feather later, so you're not hearing it twice from us. But tomorrow night, AM and the PM will be 9, and then the fix will be on at 6, and we're on AM and PM. We're going to do best duos in Philly sports history. So
No, I'll be chiming in for that. I was ready to rip today.
me too. I just kept reading this. That's all I kept reading.
Nah, we're good. You guys
I'm a
didn't.
jackass if we don't open with MLB today.
Well, you're jackass anyway. So
Well, that's
Yeah,
all
I was
fact.
gonna say that book's wide open.
Yep.
There's no blank pages in that book. But
No.
great work, fellas. Great work, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for jumping on short notice. Andy, you're natural, babe. You had the math. I mean, you got the math rolled out.
The fucking,
I mean, homework.
hey man,
he's got the headset on,
when,
dude.
when
I
the
mean,
team when the team needs me, I come through.
guy's got the headset on. I mean, he didn't fucking blink. Guy didn't fucking blink.
Not at all. He said, "What do I need to do to make you guys?" I love it. Come on. Me and Jake would we would have been okay by ourselves.
Yeah, we were fine, but
It's more fun with a party,
oh, absolutely.
especially when there's no sports to talk about. So, boys, I'll see you, and we'll all talk soon. The family out there, be safe. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay home if you can. Only essential shit, and don't be the jerk off like in the picture yesterday that I posted with the mask in hand. If you got it, put it on there.
Later, boys. Good
Bye,
shit.
guys.
Later.
You ready? We thank our doc, Make Him Yours. That's Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com, as well as Ambuck Services, 20% off right now. AMBUCK services.com. Tell them the boys from A2D sent you, Michael Ambrose, and take care. 20% off. Gutters, gutter guards, stuff you need done outside the house right now, which can be done. So, boys, love yous. Keep staying safe out there. And on to the video games.
Yep.
Yep, let's go.
Later.